Hello, welcome back. Now that we've got the ah and the group finals covered, it's time to move on to the group of final sounds that begin with the letter I. Since there's so many, we're going to break them down into 2 lessons. We'll start with the first 5 now. The final that's spelled I is pronounced E. E. It sounds just like the letter E in English, or like the end of the word be. When E stands on its own, it's spelled yi. You need to add y in front of it. Here's an example. Number 1 in Chinese is yi. Yi. Let's do a little review here. What does the pinyin final that's written E actually sound like in Chinese? Yes, it's Remember, the English letter I is E, and the English letter E is Got it? My best friend's last name is Li, with the 3rd tone, Li. It's a common surname in China. And do you remember how to say you in Chinese? It's ni, also a 3rd tone, ni. Good. Now let's move on to IA. IA in Pinyin is pronounced as ya. Ya. It's like ya in siya. This final can also be used on its own, but when it's a syllable, it's spelled ya, and it's actually the same sound as the final IA. Let's pause here for just a second so that I can tell you something very important. In English, you have compound vowel sounds like ea in create. In English sounds like that, there's a distinct but smooth transition from one vowel to another. Create. Chinese is different. Don't think of ia as being a compound vowel. As I said before, learn each final sound as being its own unique sound. So don't think of ia as being e plus a. It's spoken as just a one sound, ya. Okay, if this final stands on its own, remember the I changes to a Y in that case. In Chinese, tooth is ya with a 2nd tone. Now let's take a look at an example of this final with an initial before it. In this case, it says IA. The word for shrimp in Chinese is xia, 1st tone, xia. The initial spelled X in Pinyin is kind of like an S sound and kind of like an SH sound. We'll learn all about it later. For now, just try to say shrimp with me. Xia. Xia. Good. Next is the final sound that's spelled IAO. IAO is pronounced yao. Yao. It sounds like the end of the word meow, the sound that the cat makes. Yao. Remember to make it all one crisp, clear sound without transitions from one vowel to another. Yao. Just like the other final sounds that start with I, if this final is written on its own as a standalone syllable, then you need to change I to Y, like Yao Ming, the basketball star. When it does have a separate initial before it, then it stays IAO, like in the word 跳, 4th tone. In Chinese, to jump is 跳. Now let's move on to IAN, which is pronounced yen. Yen. Kind of like the word for the Japanese currency, yen. Well, don't listen for any ah sound in this final. Even though you see an A inside, there's no ah sound here. You have to learn this as a totally separate sound. Yen. Actually, it sounds more like IEN. Yen. Good. Like other finals that start with I, if this final is a standalone syllable, then you can change the I to Y. For example, in Chinese, smoke is yen with the 1st tone. You probably have been to a Chinese restaurant before and ordered chow mein, stir-fried noodles before, right? Well, that's actually pronounced chow mian. The word for noodles is 面. Good. Last but not least for this lesson is iang. That's pronounced yang. Yang. If it stands alone, it's spelled as yang, like my name. My name is Yang Yang with 2 first tones. Yang Yang. So, if you ever see me in person, you should not call me Yang Yang like most Americans who don't know Pinyin. Now you know better, so you should call me Yang Yang. Great! So can we please stop for just a second to compare something? We just learned the word yan, yan, which means smoke. It's spelled yan, and it's pronounced yen. Now we're learning my name, Yang, which is spelled Y-A-N-G, and it's pronounced Yang. They're spelled so similarly, but they have totally different vowel sounds here, right? Yen, Yang. Well, this is just another example of how you really have to learn each final individually. Anyway, if the iang final doesn't stand on its own, then it keeps the original spelling with the I, like in the word 亮 with the 4th tone, which can mean bright, 亮, 亮. Good. All right, well done. We've now completed half of the I group final sounds, and we'll do the second half later. Now it's time to say goodbye for now. 再见. Do you see that ian final in 见? I hope so. All right, 再见. Bye.